We are going to try and get through this video without hearing my father on the phone, or we're definitely not getting through this without hearing my father on the phone. I can hear him now. So if you can as well, I apologise because he does swear often. And you will also be able to hear Rambo snoring in the background. For whatever reason, he has grown quite attached to me during the last week and is currently on his second day sleeping in my bed. Not something that has happened in a long time, because if you didn't know, Rambo in his old age is growing a bit incontinent. I can say this because he's profoundly deaf now, so he probably can't hear a word I'm saying. And so last time he was in my room, he had a bit of an accident. Yeah, urinated all over me bed. New duvet, everything. So why am I risking it now? Well, you could say that I've become somewhat sentimental in the last week. But we'll get into that in a minute. Hey everyone, my name is Charlie and today I'm going to be talking about nothing in particular. I actually wanted to make a video like this a week ago. I thought about making a video every single day whilst we were sequestered, quarantined, locked down at home. But last Tuesday, I came down with a cold, and today is the first day I feel as though I'll be able to string a sentence together without actually wanting to cough. So, great stuff. I also had plans to record the entirety of Our Doris and upload it every day, so you'd have something to listen to brighten up your life. I feel I'm allowed to say that about my own books. We're aware they're very cosy comedies by now, aren't we? Yeah? Yeah? So actually, I'm going to talk about the last week because nothing much has happened and a lot of stuff has happened. And firstly, let's get into last Monday. And so, no, we'll go to last Sunday. Last Sunday. No, it's not even last Sunday now. What day is it? It's Monday the 31st? 30th? Monday the 30th. So not yesterday, but the Sunday before, Mel of Mel's Bookland Adventures, being the very kind, lovely person that she is, sent me this link to the asthma website. It was very late at night and she recently released a video about her asthma, and it was very good and informative to watch because I've now had asthma for 23, if not 24 years. And so it's always been something that I've known I've got, but I never really thought about it too much. It's just one of those things where I take my inhalers. The last thing where I had a really bad do with my asthma was probably when I was 12. And I kept having asthma attacks frequently, got put on steroid inhalers, have to have a flu jab every year. Mel sent me this, and it was a link to tell you how, you know, whether you should be self-isolating or not due to what was going on. And I found my inhaler listed on the list of things of where people shouldn't be leaving their house. They should be staying at home. And my employer hadn't yet closed any of the shops last Sunday. On the Friday, they had made a decision that our offices would close and any other public-facing services would close apart from our home helps. But the shops would stay open too because we needed some revenue, because we needed the money to support older people in the community. And so I saw this and I said to everyone at home, well, what I'll do then, I'll go in tomorrow, which was last Monday, and I will take all this information that Mel sent me. So I did that. I highlighted why I was going to be self-isolating. I went in with the intention of ringing up my area manager and saying to her, look, I'll give you till the end of today and then I'll need to be off. Things didn't quite go to plan. So by last Sunday, I didn't have a single volunteer left coming in last week. And I didn't know that my colleague, the other shop assistant, also wished to self-isolate. And so I'd gone in, you know, ringing all these people up that I had to ring, cancelling certain people that were due to turn up that I would no longer be able to meet or would be able to take the donations off them. I can't say about what happened because I have more tact, I think is the word. And at the end of the day, I would like to remain employed. But something happened, and then I got a phone call from my manager who told me to go home. And so my manager had said that, I'd got the information there, so I thought, well, I've left it on the desk to say why I was choosing to self-isolate anyway. And then as soon as I got home, I got a phone call from my area manager, and I was in trouble because that morning, the organisation had decided to allow everyone who worked in the shops to finish that day. We open till 1, close at 1, sort everything out, put posters up. I mean, I don't know how they were going to see a poster in my shop because I have those security shutters anyway. But I tried to say, well, my manager sent me home due to, you know, my health. I wouldn't have been there anyway because I was only staying to give this information and going home. I'm limiting as much contact socially as I possibly can. My area manager didn't like that, but my manager sorted it all out for me, and she chose, even though it was her day off, to go in, get these posters, sort all of that out, and told me not to worry because, as you know, they know, my dad's currently ill. We just don't want to be bringing too much back into the house. And so I've had a week at home. I even bought a television from work last week. Bought it because I don't have one in my room that I can... Well, I have a video player television, and I'm used to something a bit more in my life. So I got this television and I haven't watched it, and my mum bought me a SCART lead for it, and I haven't watched any of the DVDs because do you know what happened last week? Disney Plus. And even though I already have Netflix, even though I already have Amazon Prime, I now have Disney Plus as well. I had a conversation with my sister and I said, do you think we should get it? Because technically, if you watch 5 films on it, then you've paid for the, you know, that's how much you'd probably pay for 5 DVDs. So you've paid for Disney Plus by watching 5 films. So that's done, and now I'm just watching things on there. As I finished my work story. So yeah, so I stopped going into work. Then it didn't matter anyway that they closed the shops because the Prime Minister decided to place us all into this lockdown, which I'm sure you're all aware of, and you're all going through in wherever you are, and you have my sympathies, and I hope you're well, keeping safe, staying well. I've had a few emails from work since then to inform me that I am now a furloughed worker with no promise that my job will still be open at the end of all this, which I understand, and it's a shame. And I didn't want to worry anyone, and I didn't want to be one of these people who was panicking, emphasising, because I was ill anyway, so it's like there was nothing I could do on here. But I did keep posting links to my books and where you could buy my books, because accepting being a furloughed worker means accepting a pay cut. And due to this pay cut, whilst I still have some savings there and I'm able to pay my rent, I don't know how long we're going to be like this. So if anybody has a bit of money set aside that they could maybe buy one of my books, not necessarily the physical editions, but the Kindle editions are there, or if you're able to tip me on Ko-fi or coffee, that would be most appreciated at this point. And I understand if you can't. I understand that a lot of people are going through this right now, but I'm just asking if you're able to help me out. Thank you. So yes, so Disney Plus. So the first thing I watched on there was The Lion King. The Lion King came out the week of my birthday last year, and so I asked my sister. My birthday was when was it? Was it a Wednesday last year? I think it was a Wednesday last year. So I said, could we go on the Friday and watch it? Well, she had plans with her friends, didn't she? So she went and she saw the film that I wanted to see, and then she wouldn't take me to see it because she said she didn't like it. So I finally watched it last week, even though I've got the DVD. Basically, if people ask me what presents I want, and I'll just mention a DVD, because it's quick, it's easy, and even though I don't tend to watch films, they're there. So I watched this last week, and I actually enjoyed it, and it made me feel nostalgic like it was supposed to do, and I liked it visually, and I liked the soundtrack, And then I ended up getting a bit frustrated with my sister that she didn't take me last year. So then we go into the period of other films that I watched. So let's get into this. Toy Story 4, which is also a DVD I have down here. What did I think of that? Didn't like it. Not really sure what the point of that film was. Apart from making some money from the people who saw the original Toy Story and perhaps have children of their own now, instead of thinking, oh, well, I'll take them along to see this. What else did we do? We did the second Wreck-It Ralph film, Ralph Breaks the Internet, and that just basically informed me that Disney owns everything now, and that, you know, eBay must have paid a lot, because it was an advert for eBay, like nobody's business. I watched a third film as well, and it goes to show how good of a film it was that I can't... Oh, it was The Incredibles 2! I watched The Incredibles 2, and it exists. It's a very predictable film if you've ever seen a film before, even though, like, as soon as a person comes in, there's no villain at the point this person comes in, and I was like, there's going to be a twist at the end, that person's going to be the villain. I saw it from the start. And then I watched Thor Ragnarok, and I don't like the Thor films, but someone told me that they tried to make it a bit like Guardians of the Galaxy, and that it was set in space, and I saw an advert for it on another DVD at one point, and when I saw that advert I thought, oh, that looks good, that does. Well, guess what? It wasn't good. All of the good stuff from it was in the trailer. Otherwise, that's been my week. I'm finding it funny because ages ago, I said that all I need is about 12 weeks and I can get a book finished. Well, it looks like I'm stuck in this house for 12 weeks, doesn't it? And I have not achieved anything in the last week. I wrote half a page of the final Doris book. I wrote a paragraph of the children's book. I even posted the first chapter of the children's book to my coffee page in the hopes that it would spur me on to write some more, and it didn't. I really do need to try and get something done, because all I'm doing is lounging around this house playing Scrabble on my phone, and it's beginning to get somewhat tiresome. Let's talk about some things that I've been reading since I'm not writing anything. Go get this book off my shelf. I'm not going to bother. Basically, I finished reading Crescent City, House of Earth and Blood last Wednesday or Tuesday. One day last week, I finished reading Crescent City, House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. I bought this book on the recommendation of Will over at Bald Book Geek because he said it was a bit of light, easy reading, cookie cutter characters that you don't have to think too much about. However, I have a history with Sarah J. Maas, as I've mentioned in every video, and I did not like The Throne of Glass or Crown of Midnight, and I don't particularly think she is the best writer in the world. And I'd heard bad things about the Court of Thorns and Roses series, that it was just basically Throne of Glass with fairies, that Sarah J. Maas just writes herself into the stories. And I felt the same way about this one. I felt like Bryce Quinlan was the same two heroines we'd had again, that she was doing a self-insert of herself, except she gave the character red hair. And then the entire time I was reading it, I was like, oh, red hair, Clary from Mortal Instruments. And it wasn't even this well-created world. And there's a way to write these urban fantasy paranormal romances. They were all the rage when I was at uni, so I've seen them done so much better with more well-developed worlds. And as a first book, if it was 800 pages and it could have been 200, there was barely any story in here at all. It made itself out to be a murder mystery, right, at the start. So you had this murder going on, you had the fantastical elements, and you had this dark city setting. This book reads like YA and only gets called adult fiction because it mentions sex and masturbation. That is it. That is all that Sarah J. Maas thinks it takes to shift a book from YA to adult. These are not adult characters. They do not have adult sensibilities. This man is supposed to be over 200 years old and live with this guilt of the loss of the love of his life, and it doesn't feel like he is behaving in the way of someone who is like, none of the characters felt like I could make sense of them, because they all felt very one note, and they all felt so much like everything that I've read before and seen done badly. It felt like, if anyone's read fanfiction before, we all know the AU. It felt like an alternative universe of previous books that she's written before, as though Selena and whoever the other guy was in Throne of Glass had met in a city somewhere, and she was a half fairy and all this, and oh lord, if she didn't turn out to be really special in the end, and not necessarily a chosen one, but she had something there that gave her the power to sort something. Also, first sex scene we get, it doesn't really end up being a sex scene, but it comes at the most awkward moment in the book, because he's supposedly, well, both of them are like injured, and he's injured in this way that he really shouldn't be trying to do that, and then luckily he starts bleeding and they realise something. But then the next one, well, let's just say, talk about a climax, and it just, it weren't fitting for the story, really, where it happened. No problem with it being in books, but think about what's just happened in these characters' lives that maybe they aren't thinking about that. It felt like Sarah J. Maas was just vomiting onto the page and then decided, right, I've got a book, here you go. It was bad. I wouldn't call it easy reading, because I struggled to even want to pick the thing up. I also read my friend Joy's book, which I can't talk about, but sometimes you feel proud of your friends and you feel impressed by their work, and this was one of those times. And then I read Queenslayer by Sebastien de Castell, the 5th book in the Spellslinger series, and my favourite of that series so far, but I'm hoping to talk more about that in a wrap-up. 20 minutes, I didn't think I'd be able to go on this long about nothing. It just goes to show how much I can ramble incessantly. Half of you probably haven't stuck around that long, and I'd apologise, I would, but I haven't spoken to anyone but my family and the dogs in a week. It's even reached the point that I've started asking my mum and my sister, who have to go out doing care work, what are the roads like? What's the traffic like out there? You know, tell me what's going on in the world, because I'm in the lucky position that I don't have to leave the house. And I have to say, it's a strange one. And I did have a moment of frustration this week, because as we all know, in the past, I have suffered with agoraphobia. I've talked about it a lot on this channel. Well, recently. I never talked about it before. And also, I'm one of those people who panics about catching illnesses. It doesn't matter what the illness is, I'm worried I'm going to catch it. If you come near me when you're ill, chances are I'm going to get very angry with you, because I do not want to get ill at any point. So, can you begin to guess how difficult it is as someone who already has this small fear of going outside to also, and you know, both his fears have been compounded together so that he can't even leave his house. It's a difficult one. Also, you might have noticed the pile of books behind me has grown somewhat bigger. I haven't bought any new books, I've just moved everything to that side so there wasn't a load of stuff here. Doris of allDbooks recently christened this a trauma table after I said that I was developing my own Tower of Doom, and I also thought about a danger desk or a damages desk. It's there, and these are all the books that I haven't read yet, and there are still some on my shelves. I suppose now's as good a time as any to get through them. Right? I'm going to leave things here because, as you noticed, we haven't had this great, stupendous, climactic ending. Bit like House of Earth and Blood, that. Also, I'm fed up of her doing out of, you know, we had caught something or something out or something. I'm fed up of it. I'm fed up of it. Just try and come up with actual good titles, maybe. Like, all she does is she looks for a noun and decides to throw something at it. I'm surprised she hasn't renamed all of the flaming Throne of Glass books to include a different flaming adjective. Throne of Glass and arseholes, something like that, you know. In fact, I've said it now, I should probably go and rechristen them all and try it. Do you know what? I'm not going to get into how much I hated that book. It's still on my shelves, but I will be, once I can finally leave this house, I'm going to be gifting that book to my cousin. Right, I'm off. I hope that you got something out of this video besides sheer boredom. And until next time, that is all.